We are back and better than ever. We want to make sure that you guys like and subscribe to everything that we do on YouTube. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at espn.ph and at espn Asia. This is nothing but Net Philippines. We have so much in store. We're going to talk to Youngmisuk, talk about the play-in. We're going to talk about the PBA Finals and even the highest ranked Filipino tennis player. It's all about the nets. Whether it's basketball or tennis, we got to hear on Nothing But Net Philippines. Roll the thing. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. So much has happened in the world of sports in the past 7 days, but we want to make sure that we give love to the NBA first of all, and there's no better person to join us on the show to do so other than our very own Youngmisuk. Thank you for joining us. What's up, buddy?
What up? What up to all my homies back in the Philippines? What's going on?
We are doing fantastic. We are loving the fact that our very own Dylan Harper announced for the NBA draft. You know, we are excited about Alex Eala in the tennis world. But most of all, a lot of Filipinos in the Bay Area are excited about their Golden State Warriors. We're going to start out with them, But before we get to that, we talked about it last time around. We're going to do it again. What was your favorite kicks of the week?
You know, I wore we mentioned this the last time we talked, but I did wear some AirTech challenges, the Agassi ones, the Volt yellow with the black in Miami for Jimmy's return, because the Miami Tennis Open, as you know, was going on at the same time out there. So I brought out those for Jimmy's return in Miami.
Absolutely. And that was in honor of our Alex Eala again that we're going to talk about later on in the show.
She's tearing it up.
Exactly. I'm so excited that you are as much of a fan of Alex Eala as we are.
I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Leylah Fernandez when I was there at the U.S. Open when she made her big run. And just to see the emotion pouring out after every win that she wins, understanding that this is like perhaps this is the biggest moment of her life right now. Hopefully it catapults her to something bigger, but in tennis, it's very difficult to follow up on a moment like that. I mean, it's a grind. You see what Leylah's doing. She grinds every tournament. So hopefully this will be something that catapults her to bigger and better things. And you can see that she has the right head, the right mentality. Basically, she wants it. She wants to play well. She's going to work hard. She understands the moment. She doesn't take anything for granted. It's all something that you can connect with her as a fan.
And the same can be said about that Golden State Warriors team, because if there's a team that understands the gravity of what they're about to go through right now, it is that team. So, let's start with them. They are 10-0 when this team is healthy. Steph, Jimmy, Dre, Moody, and Pods, when they're playing and they're available, they are perfect. When you take a look at the other starting fives around the Western Conference, where do they rank?
Um, I think that the thing about their starting five that's made them very good is the strengths that they have that are all different. I think Jimmy since he has come in, Steve Kerr likes to use this word, he's a connector. And so in many ways, they kind of use him like a big man. They throw it inside him sometimes when he's in the paint, and then he gets inside and either draws a foul or he finds the open man in the corner. If he's on the wing and they give him the ball, he's able to kind of penetrate, get inside the paint, as they like to say, touch the paint, and then basically spray it out to shooters. And I think that's what's made Moody and Pajemski so much better, is that they're getting more open shots because now the defense doesn't have to just worry about Steph Curry and the gravity that he pulls, but they also have to worry about Jimmy Butler. So I would say that starting lineup is still kind of a work in progress because they haven't had that much time together. But if you talk about just from a big three type of standpoint of Steph, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, I would say that puts their lineup in the top 10 starting lineups in the league for sure.
Yeah, I was trying to break it down in terms of who were the better starting fives in the league. And, it's funny when you see Houston and teams like, of course, OKC and Boston that are there. But Golden State is very interesting with it, mainly because they have a man that I don't know if there's anyone else that can say something on a podcast and immediately changed the betting odds around the world that he is now the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. Is that really a thing that he was able to overtake even our Aussie friends and Dyson Daniels as the DPOY favorite?
It didn't start with the podcast. It was after a game. I don't remember which game it was, but he was asked, how do you feel about your odds for Defensive Player of the Year? And do you feel like you have a chance? This is probably about like maybe 10 games ago.
Yeah.
And so he said, look, I absolutely 100% believe that. He started off the year very strong. And he
Yes.
made it no bones that even with Victor Wembanyama healthy, he was like, listen, all I've heard this whole summer was Wemby, Chet, Wemby, Chet. Well, how about me? Don't forget about Dre. And so he was focused on winning it. And then they kind of had this tailspin after the 12-3 start. They went downhill. But then since they got Jimmy Butler, I think you've seen a reinvigorated Draymond Green. And defensively, he has been a menace. He has been all over the place. And as Jimmy Butler described to me, it's like you have a guy who not only is great at defending one-on-one, but he's defending all five positions on the floor. He's going to defend the best player on the opposite team, no matter what it is. He can be on a center. He can switch onto a point guard. I think this one particular game against Toronto, he was totally out of position. I think it was Shed who had the ball up the floor. He threw the ball up, thought it was going to be like an easy layup for his teammate who had at least two steps on Draymond. And Draymond comes streaking up like a free safety and deflects the pass. And what Jimmy is saying is like he's only 6'7". He doesn't have the longest arms, or 6'6". He doesn't have the longest arms compared to some of these other guys, yet he's able to always challenge shots and get guys to miss. It's very strange. I always look at it. I think I need to hit up the great Stat Williams at ESPN Stats and Info. For Draymond just sticks his hand up in the air, and when he does that, it's crazy. Like other guys, it's I don't even think it's 50-50. I think guys miss more than they make. Um, and so he's able to do that. And I think when he said that, all of a sudden, like it was like the narrative started to change a little bit. And of course, Golden State was playing well. It's going to come down though to these final like 9 or 8 games left between him, Evan Mobley, Ivica Zubac is in that conversation. Of course, Dyson
Yes.
Daniels, Lou Dort for the Oklahoma City Thunder, who also guards multiple positions and is the top defender on maybe the best defense in the league. Obviously, it's going to be how Golden State's defense and whether they win down the stretch. And then I think that's going to help decide what, voters are going to see. And also, if they see Draymond on national TV, if they're watching to see who he defends down the stretch.
Yeah, and when you look at all the rest of those teams, you talked about Lou Dort and the balance of that offense and defense in OKC, have them in this conversation of course, being at the top of it to win the title. But when you look at Golden State, who also have the same thing, the offensive prowess from the outside from Steph, inside with Jimmy, and the defensive nature that is with Draymond Green. When you are around this team, what is the ceiling that they see themselves as heading into the playoffs?
Oh, I mean, Draymond said it maybe less than 5 games or about 5 games after the trade for Jimmy Butler that he thinks they can win the championship. He doesn't just think they can win the championship. He thinks they will win the championship.
Wow.
I don't think that belief has changed, even as they sputtered and lost a couple games at Atlanta, at Miami without Steph. Of course, Steph was out with that pelvic contusion. I think they've always felt that in a 7-game series, they can beat anyone because of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Steve Kerr's championship experience. And now you add to that playoff Jimmy, the myth, the legend of playoff Jimmy, who can carry a team. He won't need to carry this team. What he will need to do, though, is he will need to be more aggressive and look to score. I think since he's arrived to Golden State, he has just looked to just spread the ball around, get guys connected, not necessarily look for his shot. And he's kind of frankly struggled with his shot a little bit. That's going to be something that he's going to have to get going come playoff time, because I think he's going to see a lot of open shots with defenses concentrating more on Stephen Curry. But I think as they go into the playoffs, they feel they can beat anyone with those three and then the supporting cast around them for sure.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that if there's anything that this team has, it's that bravado that they can definitely beat anyone in the first round. But I guess my last question is as somebody that's seen this team all throughout the year and knows the intricacies of them, is which team in the West is the one that they would love to play the most in the first round? And that team that they're like, okay, maybe that is the one that is the biggest test for us.
Look, I think they would welcome any challenge from anybody that they face. Obviously, Oklahoma City is the number one team in the West, and so you'd probably want to avoid them as long as you can. And then Denver has Jokic, who is just a matchup nightmare. The way he's playing right now is he's playing the best basketball of his career, which is
Yeah.
amazing. I would say for Golden State, maybe the ideal first round matchup would be somebody like Memphis, a team that they have a history with, a
Yeah.
little bit of a rivalry with. And of course, they just fired Taylor Jenkins. So it's kind of a team that's in flux a little bit. Perhaps maybe they get a little boost out of the firing of Taylor Jenkins, because usually when you fire a coach and you bring somebody in during the season, let alone this late in the season, it's because there's been something that's been a little bit off, and maybe that's going to reinvigorate the players. But I think they probably would like their chances against a team that does not have a lot of playoff experience. So maybe that would be a team like Houston. As good as Houston has been this season, Golden State, I believe, is 2-1 against Houston. They have one more game coming up here toward the end of the season, and that was without Jimmy Butler. All three games that they played against Houston was close. Their one loss was in the in-season tournament game, which was very close, and Golden State couldn't score in like the final 6 minutes. Steph really struggled in that game, but that was before Jimmy Butler. I think they're going to feel if they would have to go into a 7-game series with a team like Houston, they would like their chances because of their experience, and also you've added Jimmy Butler into the mix.
There you go. Youngmisuk, what is your schedule like for the next 7 days? Where can we see you?
I am monitoring Warriors from home until Thursday when they are in LA. They play Lakers. I'll be there, and then I'll be back in the Bay when they play Denver on Friday, and then I believe they play Houston on Sunday.
That sounds like a fantastic way to enjoy some basketball. The notorious on Instagram and a very good friend of the show here on Nothing But Net Philippines. Thank you for joining us, Om.
Thanks.
Thank you to Om for dropping by. And with that, we move on to Philippine sports, not just Philippine basketball, but we will begin there. And I can honestly say that there's really nothing like watching a PBA Finals. I mean, you get the drama, you get the Justin Brownlee magic moment that sends it into overtime. You get the overtime free basketball because 7 games of the PBA is not enough. You might not get a whole lot of offense, but you will get incredible moments all throughout. Of course, this comes after Talk and Text win their second championship of this season in 7 games against Barangay Ginebra. But the one thing that I wanted to focus on here is because there was a lot of discourse online about what this means towards the legacy of some of the people that were involved. I want to make it very clear that this tarnishes in no way the legacy of Justin Brownlee as arguably the best import that the Philippines has ever experienced in the PBA, and especially does not do anything in tarnishing the legacy of Tim Cohn as the greatest PBA coach of all time. What this does do, though, it adds to the legacy of those around them. Just because it doesn't just because it lifts up rather someone does not necessarily mean that it pushes anyone down. Rondae Hollis Jefferson's legacy in Philippine basketball is just going to continuously grow from this point out. I remember the first time that we saw Justin Brownlee, we did not know that we were on the precipice of seeing him for nearly a decade now, but it is where we are. And I think that that is where we are going to be with RHJ. There aren't that many imports that can say that they swept the best import awards in an entire season, and yet he is able to say that now. That is something that not even Justin Brownlee could say on his resume, but 3-time champ, 3-time best import for RHJ is something that we will look back on and think, Wow, that was a way to start a legacy. On the other side of things, what could this mean for the ever-growing legacy, the legend that is Coach Chot Reyes? Because there isn't a lot that Coach Chot hasn't been able to do and hasn't been able to win. And one of those things has evaded him his entire career, and that is to win the Grand Slam. He has now won 2 championships in one season. He has 1 to go. And that could elevate him into that God tier in Philippine coaches. And this is the best opportunity that he has. He has 2 in the bag, 1 to go, Philippine Cup remaining. But he will be without his best Philippine player. Remember, no imports in this next conference, so it's going to be all down to the Pinoys. No Jason Castro, who will be continuously out with his knee injury. But that's where things get interesting. People might have thought that the finals MVP was where we would see the start of Rey Nambatak's rise into superstardom. But I think that this Philippine Cup will be it. Because this is the opportunity that the next great TNT guard can be put in full display. Rey Nambatak winning finals MVP, nearly 18 points, over 3 rebounds, over 3 assists, big time shots. But can he be that cornerstone to lift TNT into a Grand Slam championship position? Only time will tell. We're a few days away from the start of the Philippine Cup. Make sure that you follow here on Nothing But Net Philippines to see how that conference unfolds as we go along. But we will now turn our attention from Philippine basketball in the Philippines to Philippine basketball out of it. Dylan Harper announcing himself to the NBA draft on NBA Today. Make sure that you head on over to espn.ph to see the article and the snippets over there of how it went down. And yet, despite all of that, in the past 7 days, he is not our MVP of the week. He is not the most valuable Pinoy. In fact, that goes to Alex Eala. We are going to shift a little bit from basketball into somewhere else that has a net, and that was at the Miami Open. Because if that was not the most Ginebra-like, never say die-esque performance that I have ever seen, then I don't know. Because Alex Eala did something unthinkable, beating Elena Ostapenko, 25 ranked. Then Madison Keys, number 5 ranked. Number 2 ranked, Iga Swiatek, only to lose to Jessica Pegula, the number 4 seed. But that alone catapulted her into the number 75 rank in the WTA. I know that this is a basketball podcast, but we're sports fans nonetheless, and we are Pinoys at the root of it all. And to tie it even further, Miami head coach Eric Spoelstra, who is coaching where Miami Open was, he said it himself. I think it's one of the most inspiring things ever that a world-ranked tennis player comes out of a small country like the Philippines. Alex Eala becomes the first Pinoy to be top 100 ranked since rankings began in 1975. She's the highest ranked Southeast Asian player in the world, 35 ranks higher than the closest one from Thailand. So it might not be basketball, but here at Nothing But Net Philippines, we shower success and we give our biggest props to those that represent the country at the highest fold. So Alex Eala, you are our MVP. Thank you for all that you've done, and we will continue to cheer you on here from our show. That'll wrap things up for us here on Nothing But Net Philippines. Make sure to head on over to espn.ph for all of the basketball and even tennis needs that you have. Also, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at espn.ph and at espn Asia. My name is Aaron Atayde. This has been Nothing But Net Philippines. We'll see you all again next week. So long. Take care. Peace out.